I'd say I'm not a Republican, but I am ethnically Republican. That's the background that I
love
grew up
that.
with.
I was born this way.
The only book my father's ever asked me to read was The Conscience of a Conservative by Barry Goldwater. So I grew up in that. I had a similarly disillusioning moment when I was in college, where I had been, I had at that point, this is like 2005. I had been like, the war in Iraq was this clearly righteous thing where we toppled this evil dictator, and like, look at these jubilant people in Baghdad that are ripping down his statue. Look how happy they are. And then I saw footage of just this quiet crowd waiting while the American army got the crane set up, put a flag over his head, and then went, no, that's a bit too on the nose. We'll take the flag off. And then went, okay, go. And then they did it. And I was like, that whole thing was staged. And it really disillusioned me, knowing that there was agitprop at work. And ever since then, in my case, being both a jettisoned partisan and also being a formerly very, very religious person who's now an agnostic, I am extremely reticent to just join a tribe, whether it's political or spiritual or whatever. I have my orientation, but I view my politics more as a starting position, or as it's like a hometown that I'm from. I don't view it as like dogma. I don't view it as I have an onus on me to push these particular rules, which gets me in trouble with libertarians a lot, because I'm a contributor at Reason and I do funny videos with them. I love Reason. It's a great publication. But then I'll meet libertarians that like Reason, and they're like, right, like all taxes are evil in all situations ever on this and every other planet, and everybody should have their own bazooka. Right. And I'm like, no, I don't believe either of those things. And then they freak out that I'm not the Pope of libertarianism. And I'm like, all right, fine. I'm just an independent. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, one of the areas where I've stepped into libertarian blasphemy in the past couple of years is like this whole theory about state capacity libertarianism, where like maybe it was a mistake to spend several decades telling people that the government is inherently bad, can never do good, and you should hate Congress. And then you like skip forward a couple decades, and like, Congress's approval rating is in the low teens, and the president is now like a god to people and the only people who can do stuff. And I go, okay, maybe this is a little bit of a mistake. Maybe we should be trying to like gear people towards the government is good at certain things, and we need to maximize those certain things. And it makes me fall out of grace with libertarians. But you're more conservative and don't have that problem, I imagine.
Oh, no, I'm pretty libertarian, actually. Like, I don't know. It's interesting. Working at the R Street Institute has had me rethinking a lot of this, too, just seeing where government's best. But one thing, like, I mean, the worship is something that freaks me out. And this is why I'm glad we have Andrew on, because it's like, there's so many people who like worship Trump, and I see that with Biden too. It's different forms, but you see that over the years, people like worshiping a president, like, oh my gosh, he's the greatest thing. He's on all my t-shirts. I have posters of him in my room.
To Biden's credit, I've never seen a Biden t-shirt.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but we are not outside a lot and seeing other people out, so give it time. But like, Andrew, like, what part, like, do you think, not to say everyone's going to be walking around with like God t-shirts, but like, would they, like, have things changed? Is this conceit of the conceit of the present, where now we have this, and like, it was always kind of like this, like people like were obsessed with, like JFK and stuff. Is this new, or is this like kind of that religion manifesting in politics?
I think that impulse. I think there's two impulses that are there that are both endemic, and they've combined very dangerously in the American experience. We have an impulse to revere things. That seems to be there. I think that it's probably, from my perspective, it's an evolutionary thing of we're trying to unite a disparate group of people, so we create a kind of mythological superstructure that we all agree on, that gives us kind of cohesive as a society, and we agree that there's certain things that are truly important, and that allows us to sort of trust each other, because I'm going to swear on Marduk that I have been honest with my contract. So that reverence appears to be something endemic to the human experience. There also seems to be a kind of like alpha male worship or strongman worship that's part of the human experience, where I think we've really messed up, and I'm very alarmed with, is we've combined these things with our head of government. And I think the counter version of this, which wasn't planned but is nonetheless brilliant, is the British experience. Like in the United States, we've very cleverly separated church and state. Well done, America. That was a great call. Well, good job. In Britain, what they've done accidentally over time is they've separated power from reverence. So when I've lived in the UK a couple of times, Everybody makes fun of the prime minister. The prime minister's just the top bureaucrat. Everybody, like the prime minister's literally, not literally, the prime minister gets drug in front of parliament once a week so parliament can heckle them. That is the British experience of their head of government. And like when I was living in Scotland, Gordon Brown is a Scotsman. He's their party. He's because he's Labour. He's the prime minister. Everybody makes fun of Gordon Brown. But then like when the Queen visits town, everybody's like, oh, the Queen, okay, right? And so that reverence, which I think is going to happen regardless of what you do, is placed on somebody that can't send troops off to die, that can't take your money via taxes. We've combined those things. And so now, because we have a kind of head of government / bishop chaplain character, the things the president does are sort of wrapped in this sacred gauze of like, well, I disagree with the president, but I respect the office. I think that's actually a very bad way to approach things. I think you should treat the president as a bureaucrat you can kick around, be incredibly skeptical of any president that occupies office, particularly when they're dealing with killing people or taking cash.